The Celts are recorded as the earliest people to use oak barrels to transport alcohol, though that was beer. It was about 2,000 years ago. Those people somehow figured out oak was the best material because it was solid yet a little bit more malleable. The Romans observed that and they started switching from amphora to oak barrels to carry wine. Barrels were easier to stack and roll with one single person versus a heavy clay amphora. The Romans then started observing that, hey, these oak barrels, it improves the flavor of the wine. From then on, the French started using barrel fermentation techniques. I actually don't know the history of where the first barrel fermentation took place. I tried to look all over for that information. In my opinion, the French are probably the best at barrel fermented whites in the world. Of course, you have Burgundy, which is the Mecca. You also have the Jura, and there's some excellent barrel fermented whites in Bordeaux and the Loire. I don't love overtly oaky flavors in red wines, but in white wines, I'm more tolerant of them, and sometimes I even seek it out, especially if the fruit quality is good. Barrel fermentation is an excellent technique, especially for white wine, because it allows for a little bit of oxygen to come in contact with the wine. It helps stimulate malolactic fermentation, which converts malic acid into lactic acid, makes it a little bit softer on the palate. The pros for barrel fermentation is you're going to get better integration of some of those oak flavors, those hints of clove, vanilla, toast. There are barrel fermented red wines, but it's a little bit messier than white wines. With red wines, you have to have the juice in contact with the skin that brings out the color, the tannins, and the flavor. When you have barrel fermented white wines, you take the juice and you throw it in the barrel, it starts to ferment. Another common technique with white wines is starting the fermentation in stainless steel or another vessel, and as it's going, you then rack the juice into barrels. Barrel fermented white wines are complex, and if you're not buying Burgundy, they can offer ridiculous value for money in terms of complexity, and it's a nice change up if your palate gets a little bit tired of drinking a lot of red wines. I've got 6 barrel fermented white wines from all corners of the globe, from all different countries, different grape varieties. Let's see how they taste. As always, I Coravin these babies and had somebody mix them up for me. I think I'm going to taste one by one because they're all different grape varieties, and we'll just reveal that way. I'm going to try to make the experience better for you, so we're going to go from this way so it's more natural for your line of sight. Let's start out with wine number 1. Of course, the white variety that's like the standard for barrel fermented whites is Chardonnay, especially white Burgundy. I have one Chardonnay here, and then a bunch of different and obscure grape varieties. It's so funny though, a lot of these grapes I have here can taste like Chardonnay, but this does have kind of the white peach type flavors, a little bit of the banana, the subtle kiss of oak. Those oak barrels are going to part a subtle touch of vanilla flavor. You smell the barrel, but it's not too much here. It's really a shiny wine. White going into yellow peaches, just a little bit of lemon. It doesn't smell like it's too acidic or too tart though. This is the first wine. It is the morning, so my palate's clear, but man, what a way to start. It's so unique. This has got it's concentrated without being too heavy. There is acidity. You have a slight honey type note. The length is insane, man. I'm still tasting this. Really insane length. I would love to have this with cream chicken type dishes, maybe some roasted pork. The length here is really the separated, which makes it long. I love that on the palate. Now it's starting to be a little more floral. You get the oaky sense, but on the palate, it's got these delicious honey flavors. Not sweet honey, but you get these subtle honey notes. I know this is the first one of the day. It's going to be tough to top this wine. Hold on a second. That's just good. And this is a wine that can age. I'm 94 plus points on this. Let's take a look. That was a great way to start. Great way to start. I should have followed my first instinct. This is the Chardonnay. This is 8 at the Gate Family Selection Chardonnay 2021 Rattenbury Single Vineyard Wine. This comes in at $50 from Australia. South Australia, Rattenbury is an area that's right next to Noir that's famous for Cabernet Sauvignon, Terra Rosa soils. I've liked this wine in the past. It's more honeyed. I thought it might be a Rhone style wine, but that's a great way to start. 94 plus points. This is available in the US, $50. I know it's not cheap, but man, that's a heck of a wine. Tough to top that bad boy. I'm using actually a red wine glass for this tasting. I'm using the Riedel Pinot Noir Performance glass. It's great with Pinot Noir, but I think it does great with bigger white wines with the big bowl. I've got a link in the description box if you want to check it out. It's not a cheap glass, but I like it. 2 is significantly more honey, a lot more honey flavors. Just a little bit of spice from the barrel. more apricot type flavors. It's not as intense as wine 1, but it's really good. The honey, white pear, maybe even a little quince. Maybe just a touch of cinnamon stick, but not very much. Wow. On the palate, this felt like it would be a little bit bigger than wine 1 on the nose. On the palate, there is so much acidity. At first, it starts out, it's more mineral, more chalky, and then you just get the spike of citrusy, lemony acidity. It's got a long finish. I really like with high quality barrel fermented white wines, you get like kind of these sandy tannin type texture. There are tannins in white wines, just a little bit because there's tannins in the pulp, but also barrel fermented white wines, it imparts a little bit of tannin. This is really good. I think wine 1 is more of a crowd pleaser. This is more for geekies because it has some chalkiness. Really good. Have a range of prices here, everywhere from like $28 to close to 90 bucks. I'm 94 points on this. I think it's pretty close to wine 1. These are some serious wines to start. Let's take a look here. Wow. Never tasted this wine before. This is the Matsu Le Jefa 2020. This is a Toro Blanco from the region of Toro in Spain, mostly known for old vine Tempranillo. This is made out of Malvasia Castellana, I think. That's the name of it. 14 months in the barrel. This is extremely rare. Comes in at 49 bucks, so about the same price. I love these labels of Matsu. They have different pictures of different people. Younger vines gonna have a younger guy on it. More older complex wines have an old man on it. This is their only white wine. There's such a small percentage of white wine being made in Toro. Like I said, in Spain, it's known mostly as a red wine region. I think that's outstanding wine. What a start. Let's go on with wine number 3. Okay, 3 is more lemony. Really lemony. Apricot has a subtle dandelion type flavor. Maybe even a little bit honey. Okay, never mind. The wood starts to come on a little bit towards the end. It is high quality wood. On the palate, this has more acidity. It's a little tangier. I get a lot of slatey type flavors, but I do like lemony, white apricot note. It's maybe not as complex as the first 2 wines. This is more of a refreshing barrel fermented white wine. I think it's very good. I'm a hardcore 92 plus points on this. I think it's really good. Let's see what it is. Very good wine. This is wow, this is one of the more expensive wines. This is the Clos Solene Hommage Blanc from Paso Robles, 2021. This is 80% Roussanne, 16% Viognier, 4% Grenache Blanc. Made by a Frenchman in Paso Robles, Guillaume. 79 bucks is the price of this. This sees new French oak. Roussanne is an interesting grape variety. It does have some of those honey notes I picked out on it. It can be slightly floral, can be gingery as it ages. This has tons of acidity. Roussanne has a little bit more acidity than Marsanne, which is another Rhone white grape. The Viognier, I guess I said I got the dandelion. Grenache Blanc, I got the flintiness. 13.7 alcohol. It's a heck of a wine. I know it's not cheap. I'd like to see how that wine ages. Okay, let's move on to number 4. Very interesting wines. This wine has a little bit more color. Let's see if you can see that right there. Wow, this has significantly more oak. This is unlike any of these wines here so far. This is pure honey, white pepper, bacon fat even, a little bit of crushed rock. The honey and the dried apricot really come out. I think I might know what this is. Yellow flower. Man, it's intense. It's so funny. It feels like it has the weight of a big red wine. This is rich, a little bit of tannin on the back end. You get a little flavors of the wood. This is a wine that is built to age. The acidity doesn't come close to these first 3 wines. There is a ton of weight here. This is just a rich, rich, rich white wine. I love this. This is a unique style. This reminds me of a Northern Rhone type of white wine, which I have a Northern Rhone here, so maybe that's what it is. I knew what the wines were beforehand, but I had somebody mix it up. I am 93 plus on this. I think it's going to age super well. Let's take a look. I think it's very good. Wow. This is not... I don't remember this wine. I loved it, but I don't remember it being that good. I remember it being crisper. This is the Quinta de Crasto Superior from the Douro 2018. 28 bucks, one of the cheaper wines in the bunch. Now I totally remember why I don't remember this being that honeyed. This is 2018, so obviously it's got some age on it. What happens with white wine as they age, they start to gain color. They start to gain more complexity. Sometimes they put on more weight. This is a blend of Viaschino, which a grape that I love, and 40% Verdelho, which is used obviously in Madeira. The winemaker too, I love him, Manuel, great sense of humor, and to me he looks like Steve Buscemi. I've been to this estate before. These are higher altitude vineyards. I think they go up to maybe 600 meters. Manuel, I told him how much I love this wine. He said, man, it's because I like white Burgundy. In Portugal, this is like 15 bucks, so I think this is a heck of a wine. 28 bucks. I just gave it 93 plus points. I think it was rich, big. It really reminded me of a Northern Rhone when I tasted it blind. That is an exceptional effort, really exceptional effort. Bang for your buck. I think this is the best wine that Quinta de Crasto makes. Gosh, okay, let's move on to 5 here. 5 is even more honeyed. I mean, it's intense honey. This is like honey, even has like a maple syrup type flavor. I know that doesn't sound weird. Fresh cut grass, yellow flower, dandelions, white pepper, extremely complex. This is good. This is not the white wine that everybody is going to love. It's a really, really unique white wine. Like you can see, it's more golden in color. That's the thing too, all these wines are so unique. This is a wine I just want to sit here and smell. This really needs a big bowl. Not high in acidity. Rich honey, stone fruit flavors. This has the weight and the texture of a big red wine. This is a baby. I think it seems like I'm in a good mood. I just think all these wines are excellent. I'm also 94 plus points. I think it's as good as the Chardonnay. However, the Chardonnay, that's a friendly wine. Everybody's going to like it. This, I think, is the Northern Rhone wine I have here, and this is a unique wine that everybody's going to like. I think it's good. 94 plus. I think it's very good. And it is. This is the Guigal. This is the Lieu-Dit Saint Joseph 2020. This comes in at 90 bucks. This is mostly Marsanne with a little bit of Roussanne. Makes sense. It has this apricot. Like Robert Parker used to love Northern Rhone whites because they're so unique. This is just... Northern Rhone whites are really just unbelievably unique. Saint Joseph, known for Syrah, although you can blend a little bit of Marsanne to make the reds. There's tiny quantities of white being made. That's one of their higher quality white wines. I mean, obviously it's 90 bucks, but man, the French with barrel-fermented wines, that was good. Let's move on to the last one. I know it seems like I'm overly excited about these wines, but I am. I love barrel-fermented whites. This right here is brighter, more lemony, smells fresher. This smells like pure lemon, mandarin orange type of citrusness. Maybe just a touch of mineral. I don't get a ton of the barrel in here. Maybe a little bit of white peach. Chalk. I definitely get chalk in this bad boy. It smells crisper than all these. Crispy, tangy. I used to live in Singapore, so I used to love the street food. I would love to sip on this with a lot of anything in Singapore, any of that street food, maybe because I'm missing it so much, especially with that sambal chili. To me, maybe not as complex as the wine before. I am at 91 plus points. I think it's delicious. It's crispier. This might be one of those wines. Sometimes when you make barrel fermented white wines, you can barrel ferment one lot of juice. You can also stainless steel ferment some and then blend everything together to keep the acidity. I think that's something that might have went along here. 91 plus points. I think this is excellent. And what do we have here? We have the Alois Lagardère Versalto Pinot Bianco 2021 from Mitterberg. That's the IGT. 34 bucks. Pinot Bianco, also known as Pinot Blanc, one of the mutations of Pinot Noir. It is from Burgundy. It's more of a neutral white grape variety. However, in Alto Adige, Italy, where this is from, first of all, it's an amazing region. Mountains are so high up. I think they do some of the best Pinot Biancos in the world. world. Great value for money. This is no different. 34 bucks. I think this is excellent. Those were all some serious wines. Tell me, do you love barrel fermented white wines as much as I do? What are some of your favorite producers or grape varieties? Drop it in the comments below.